Now, a top story this hour, tensions have escalated further between the US and Iran after Tehran's latest counter-intelligence sting. Iran has captured 17 spies working for the US Central Intelligence Agency, and some have been sentenced to death. That's according to Iranian media. So let's get more details now. We're joined by the Iranian journalist Ramin Mustaqim. Good morning. Thanks for coming on.
I think as far as we understand now, that these 17 are private, sort of non-linked to each other, independently acting, trained by CIA, how to conceal the information, how to conceal the communication with each other, with the CIA source. So, Intelligence Ministry here wants to show that it is part of the software war against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And in this software war, we understand that CIA is actively trying to recruit Iranians in need of American visa or American money or anything, a good future in America.
You obey, you will be safe. If you obey, you will be safe. Alter your course 2360 degrees immediately. Over.
A radio exchange apparently detailing what happened in the Strait of Hormuz on Friday. A British Navy officer from the frigate HMS Montrose tells the crew of the oil tanker Stena Impero that it's in a recognised international strait and must not be impeded. He then urges the Iranian Navy patrol boat, which ordered the tanker to change course, not to intervene.
Please confirm that you are not intending to violate international law by unlawfully attempting to board the MV Stena.
But Iran's Revolutionary Guard soon arrived by helicopter and seized the tanker. Iranian maritime officers said on Sunday the vessel and its crew of 23 from India, Latvia, the Philippines and Russia are safe in the port of Bandar Abbas.
After a week-long delay due to a fuel leak, scientists at the Indian Space Research Organisation say they're ready to take 1 billion dreams to the moon. The country plans on becoming the fourth in the world, behind the United States, Russia and China, to land a lunar spacecraft. Dubbed Moon Chariot in Hindi, the Chandrayaan-2 is built almost entirely in India. At $140 million, it costs a fraction of similar missions by other countries. The spacecraft's orbiter is set to circle the moon, imaging its surface and studying the atmosphere, while the rover will carry out experiments while controlled by scientists in India. The country's space program is a source of immense national pride, and the Prime Minister has outlined an ambitious plan to send a crewed mission to space in the next 3 years.
25 people have been murdered in Cape Town over the weekend, this despite a heightened army presence in the crime-ridden areas. A police officer was also gunned down in Delft while on duty on Saturday night. Aisha Ismail is following the story for us. She joins us now live.
And I spoke to some people in Mannenberg and Hanover Park, and they were saying that they were hoping that having the army deployed in various areas on the Cape Flats and also having increased policemen on the Cape Flats would have significantly brought down that figure. But if we look at what happened earlier this month, there were 47 murders, and then last week we had 43 murders over a weekend, and 25, and as you said, as you correctly point out, 25 on a weekend when there was increased police and also soldiers being deployed on the Cape Flats.
Kenya's Finance Minister Henry Rotich has been arrested over a dam construction scandal. It marks the first time a sitting Kenyan minister has been arrested on corruption charges. He and other officials are accused of flouting procurement rules when they awarded the building project to a bankrupt Italian company. Rotich has denied any wrongdoing. Well, I've been speaking to Catherine Soy, who explained the case so far.
He's a very high-profile individual in the government. He has surrendered himself alongside his deputy. The Director of Public Prosecutions also ordered the arrest of officials of a parastatal that was supposed to oversee this project. Some of those officials have already surrendered themselves, and has also issued a warrant of arrest for employees of the Italian company that was supposed to undertake the construction to begin with.
As police were warning they were about to clear the streets, protesters busily prepared the barricades that were meant to stop them. The protesters had laid siege to the Chinese central government's liaison office in Hong Kong, and police decided it was time to act. There was a tense standoff. Objects were thrown at the ranks of riot police, who then responded in force. Police fired multiple barrages of tear gas canisters as they made the protesters give up ground.
Gradually, police have been edging forward and firing tear gas as they go, pushing the crowds further back from one barricade to the next. Some of the protesters are saying to leave these streets and fall back into the central district. Others are urging their friends to stand their ground as this chaos continues.
Israeli forces have begun the demolition of about 100 Palestinian homes in the occupied West Bank, built close to the separation barrier. The residents of Wadi al-Hummus had fought a 7-year legal battle to overturn the military eviction order, but Israel's High Court dismissed the case, despite the land being under the administration of the Palestinian Authority. Our correspondent Rob Matheson is live for us at Wadi al-Hummus in the occupied West Bank. And this is the moment, Rob, that people we've heard from in the past few days have dreaded. The demolition of their homes has begun.
That's right. About 50 minutes ago, Elizabeth, we heard very loud bangs coming from a building right next door to where we are now. And that was a large mechanical digger which was being used to rip off part of the roof of that building. And that building was home up to this morning to 2 families. We understand the father of one of those families has been sitting on a chair down in the street below us, watching his home being torn apart.
The governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, who has faced massive protests over his leadership, has announced that he will not run for re-election next year. There have been demonstrations across the US territory since last Saturday when journalists leaked text conversations between Mr. Rosselló and members of his administration. They revealed a series of sexist and homophobic comments, prompting calls for the governor's resignation. After several days of silence, Mr. Rosselló made his announcement via a live Facebook stream.
Today I address you led by the deepest respect for democracy. A significant sector of the population has been protesting for days. I am aware of the dissatisfaction and the uneasiness that you feel. Your right to express yourself will always be safeguarded by our Constitution.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in is promoting national unity in the face of the export restrictions by Japan that have targeted the core of the Korean economy.
Speaking to his top aides earlier today, the president said Korea can overcome these difficulties as it has done in the past. He is also promising full government support to local companies. Our presidential office correspondent Shin Se-min starts us off.
President Moon Jae-in is calling for a can-do spirit in the face of the export restrictions imposed by Japan. It's a challenge, he says, that the Korean people can overcome.
평등하고 호혜적인 무역을 지속해 나가기 위해선 산업의 경쟁력 우위 확보가 필수적이라는 것을 우리는 다시 한번 인식하게 되었습니다.
In a weekly meeting with his top aides, the president said Korea has successfully overtaken its neighbor Japan in a number of fields, such as home appliances, electronics, semiconductors, and shipbuilding.
The North Queensland town of Bowen was make-believe combat zone today as heavily armed soldiers stormed the beach as part of exercise Talisman Sabre. Their mission? To recapture the town from an unknown foreign force.
Like a scene out of World War II, Allied forces stormed the beach, but backed up by amphibious assault vehicles and helicopter gunships. Wave after wave, 900 Australian, American, British and Japanese soldiers moved to capture Kings Beach, then Bowen, deployed from an armada of naval forces off the Queensland coast for war games, exercise Talisman Sabre. The force came ashore with one mission: to take out an imaginary militia holding Bowen captive.